The pharmaceutical giant AstraZeneca says it's withdrawing its COVID-19 vaccine worldwide. A statement says the decision is purely commercial as the jab has been replaced by products that target new COVID variants. Now, earlier this year, AstraZeneca admitted that its vaccine could, in very rare cases, cause a life-threatening side effect of blood clots. Some countries had already stopped supplying it. Let's get this discussion on now with the founder of the Africa Medical Association, Dr. Kgosi Letlapa. Dr. Letlapa, thank you so much for your time. So this global recall happens after 3 billion doses or so have already been circulating. So should we be worried here in South Africa following this admission by AstraZeneca?
No, we should not be worried. We should just be hopeful that SAHPRA will give us full information about the huge trial that we had in our own country. Remember that the vaccines were registered under emergency authorization because they didn't have full registration. So the regulator is expected by law to be given all the information by the researchers about the effectiveness of the vaccines, and all side effects and adverse events need to be reported to the regulator.
Just give us a little bit more information about, the blood clot condition that is now seemingly at the center of this lawsuit with AstraZeneca. What do we need to know as the public?
What we need to know is that it's a rare occurrence, and what happens is that you get blood clotting and your platelet count comes down. Reduced platelet count, thrombosis, and thrombocytopenia, as we call it clinically. And that is a rare effect of the drug that was found under the study. But anybody that has any circulation problems, that's why it is important that when you come in before you get vaccinated, that a clinical assessment be done of what your state is and all your chronic conditions to be noted. The challenge has always been for people that are vaccinated, when they get adverse events or when they get conditions that could be related to the vaccine, the question is whether is it related to their pre-existing conditions or is it related to the vaccine? And generally, the assumption had always been link it to the vaccine, just as a measure of extreme caution. And we're hoping that those that were tasked with administering the vaccine and attending to the patients will report truthfully to the regulator as to any reported adverse events.
Exactly. That was, going to be my next question. Because initially, the causal mechanisms of, and I hope I say it correctly, thrombocytopenia cases, that wasn't clear. I mean, so what do we then know about how the vaccine may cause this condition, if at all?
It's not really known how it occurs. It is known that it occurs, but how it occurs, what are the cycles, what are the things that go wrong in the body, we don't know. What is critical is the fact that the scientists that were administering the vaccine have to record all side events. But more importantly, those of us who received the vaccine need to report any adverse events to the vaccine site so that the things can be recorded. This time out, I guess the last vaccines with this particular vaccine would have been done more than 2-3 years ago. There's really no immediate danger, but we just need to know that at the time that this was done, what was the incidence of this rare event? And it is interesting that now that they've pulled it off the market, they admit to this rare occurrence. But when you look at their report, the main reason for withdrawing it from the market is because as the variants of COVID come up, they have not been able to modify their vaccine to be effective against the new variants. Whereas the other vaccines that are based on messenger RNA have been quick to adapt to create new vaccine batches that are more effective against new variants.
And I mean, I hear what you're saying in as far as the new variants are concerned, but there's also still concern that this case might very well likely, further cause a vaccine hesitancy, especially because, COVID is still around.
Well, I think people have to understand what we call a cost-benefit analysis. That is why some of us are against vaccine mandates. People should be fully informed and you make an informed decision. These vaccines are seasonal vaccines because the virus keeps mutating and changes from season to season. And this must not be confused with routine vaccines that we use for children, vaccines against measles, vaccines against diphtheria, which are well-proven effective vaccines. If people remember, every time there's a flu season, there'll be a new vaccine for the predominant strain of that season. And that vaccine is administered to vulnerable populations. It's promoted to the elderly, the sick, pregnant women, and young children, those that are at risk. These are not wholesale vaccines that need to be done on everyone on planet Earth. So there's no need to be anti-vaccines. We just need to ensure that you have well-informed healthcare professionals that we consult with that will advise on the need and advisability of taking a vaccine.
Dr. Letlape, thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. Dr. Kgosi Letlape there, of course, the founder of the Africa Medical Association, saying there that South Africans do not need to be concerned. And that, of course, follows the pharmaceutical giant AstraZeneca withdrawing its COVID-19 vaccines worldwide.